The Huawei Mate XT Ultimate is one of the coolest smartphones that Huawei ever created. It is folded into two parts, consists of three screens. This is one of the interesting smartphones that I ever held in my entire life. Spoiler alert, may mga issues tayo na encounter. Yes, a very huge issue. The video is divided into three parts. Interesting, getting more interesting, more and more interesting, and what could go wrong.
The Huawei Mate XT Ultimate design, it looks so ultra premium, made from metal unibody with gold paint and red leather. Also designed by Huawei plating on it, indicating that they are proud of their marvelous engineering yung kanilang ginagawa. The camera module is also one of the unique things I ever seen because it was made out of 80 layers of stacked steel. Very similar sa isang Damascus knife na hinahawak ni Mr. Who's the Boss. The interesting part that when I unfolded, very nipis yung smartphone around 3.8mm. Pero fully folded, it is so thick that I can even stack 3 Infinix Hot 50 Pro Plus into them. The body is so thin that kaya pa nila ma-manage ma-fit yung isang speaker at ang isang IR buster.
Now let's get into more and more interesting. Isang unfold, you can utilize the two screens, which is almost the same size as a foldable smartphone, and another unfold, which you can utilize the three screens and use the full potential of the display. But unleashing the full potential of the unfolded display, you will get a 10-inch tablet, almost equivalent sa isang iPad mini. Yung resolution niya is just 3K panel, but maraming sacrifices to sa kanyang OLED display. Walang support sa HDR10 Plus whatsoever, and it has only 90Hz screen. Balik tayo sa takip na display. You can also use the back display as a vlogging camera or a selfie camera gamit yung main camera ng Huawei Mate XT Ultimate. Sa display protection, well, wala pa tayong alam kung ano ginamit nila. They didn't specify the display protection. Pero ang tanong, bakit trifold? Well, definitely because if you have a foldable phone, the main screen itself is so rectangular, but when unfolded it looks like a square, and it creates more space when watching videos with that aspect ratio. Well, the Huawei Mate XT Ultimate is supposed to fix that issue with that adding another layer of screen to utilize the screen space. Not really, but it works.
Yung ginamit na operating system dito ni Huawei is only Huawei's Emotion UI instead of Harmony OS, which is kind of disappointing. It still has that Apple optimization, except that they add some graceful details into it, like for example, the app menu is separated from the other. App swipe shortcut, pwede rin swipe to cycle widgets, which you have to combine one widget to another widget para maging isang folder. Then pwede mo rin i-resize yung app folders nyo. In terms of software, you still have the Huawei aspects, even the bloatwares meron dito, but you also have Gbox or the Google Play Services virtualization. Apparently, wala siyang Gbox dito, but we do have the Google applications, which I am quite surprised that meron siya sa app gallery. However, instead of installing directly from the app gallery, meron pa siyang link that will direct you to install or download the application. Well, tinatawag ko siyang trifold phone, but of course, dalawang hinges sa isang unibody. Well, 2 hinges is equivalent to 2 creases. Pero ang tanong, gagamitin mo ba yung full display ng trifold phone most of the time? Well, to answer that question, depende sa user, but there is a twist. Pwede mo naman gamitin yung full display ng trifold phone nyo for extra screen estate, like for productivity and watching movies, kailangan mo talaga ng extra screen estate. And the twist here is, syempre, hindi mo naman kailangan gagamitin yung full display most of the time. Kasi when you daily drive this, ito yung lagi mong ginagamit as always, most of the time.
Even a foldable user can relate na hindi nila ginamit yung full display most of the time.
The Huawei's camera is what you will expect is always maganda. And of course, you get that natural bokeh and the natural colors that you really get from the Huawei Mate XT Ultimate. Now, it is getting more interesting. Yung battery ng Mate XT Ultimate is 5,600 mAh silicon carbon battery. And it is divided into 3 parts in each unibody. When you divide it, it's 1,866.67 mAh per battery. And yung trifold na yan is using the Kirin 9010 chipset, which is the same chipset used on the Huawei Pura 70 Ultra. The fun part dito is that this is the only smartphone chipset na naka-hyper-threading. This is where things gone wrong. Sinabi nila sa launch event na they are far ahead than their competitors. Aware naman sila sa Samsung at Apple what they're doing on their competition. And sinabi nila sa mga Chinese consumers, even us, na they are slacking. This is a way na sinabi sa atin na, o nga, wala naman si Samsung Trifold sa kanilang Z Fold, even though hindi naman itsurang Z. So we can say na, okay, Huawei is ahead.
So, yung reason bakit ganito yung ginawa ni Huawei, it's because ganito lang yung kaya nilang gawin. You know, Huawei ban crippled them and wala na silang suppliers whatsoever sa kanila. And basically, yung technology ni Huawei was just frozen in time. So, imagine this. Kilala niya naman siguro si Huawei Mate 10 Pro at Huawei P10. And of course, they are using their own Kirin 960 chip, which is based on 60 nanometer. But every time, syempre, tech progresses, tech also rapidly changes. So, meaning yung chipsets will also go smaller. So, the smaller, the better the efficiency. Now, let's go to Huawei P20 Pro and the Mate 20 Pro also. Well, naka-Kirin 970 na sila from 60 nanometers to 10 nanometers. Then, the time goes on with the P30 Pro na naka-Kirin 980 chip from 10 nanometers to 7 nanometers. And heto nagsisimula yung ban ng Huawei. Because of the Huawei ban, like I said, wala na silang suppliers whatsoever and cut off lahat yung mga foreign companies sa Huawei. So, basically, for this 6-year mark after the Huawei ban, hindi pa rin nila nalampas yung chipset nila to the 7 nanometer mark. So, basically, yung technology nila, like I said, they're frozen in time. So, don't get me wrong ha. Yung chipset ni Huawei does also get refined over time. Pero, yep, na-introduce sila rin yung hyper-threading technology. Pero yung baseline technology nila, hindi pa nila ma-achieve that kind of level sa mga ngayong technology. So, they're basically far behind. Of course, hindi lang yung baseline technology yung far behind nila, but the performance is also, I have tested them sa Pura 70 Ultra lang. Kasi, I tested it on the Huawei Mate XT Ultimate and naka-issue tayo which is 0 yung GPU. So, we used the Pura 70 Ultra to perform the Antutu benchmark since that chipset was also used on the Mate XT Ultimate. It was scored around 855,000 points. But of course, yung pinaka-peak score ng Mate XT Ultimate at Pura 70 Ultra is around 900,000 plus points. But that type of score is fast enough for me to assume. But sa performance scores, it is also comparable naman rin sa mga latest flagship ngayon na naka-reach ng 2.9 million Antutu benchmark score. Pero of course, hindi naman lahat ng mga tao nagbabase sa Antutu benchmark scores and hindi naman big deal yung Antutu benchmark scores, but apparently, masasabi mo na rin na talaga na obvious pa rin yung pagka-late ni Huawei dito when it comes to technology. So, in order for them, para ma-justify nila na they are far ahead, so, hindi nila babanggitin yung chipsets, pati na rin yung non-chipsets. That too also left behind rin, even though in-house siya. But, para ma-convince sa mga tao that they are far ahead is just focus on the design ng lamang. So, para masasabi na they are far ahead while they are still far behind. Or otherwise, they will just release a repeated type of smartphones again and again. Pero I'm quite amazed that kaya ni Huawei gagawin to yung trifold smartphone ha. Pero, yeah, I am pretty amazed sa kanilang ginawa and the same time, parang concept phone pa rin to siya but they even made it as a consumer grade product. Pero, for me, mahirap to siyang i-recommend sa akin. Kasi, like I said, most of the time, gagamitin mo lang yung parang brick phone na hinahawak mo and at the same time yung tablet which is costless. But I don't see the practicality rin ng trifold phones compared sa mga foldable phones na hinahawak ng tao. But apparently, I do like using two of the devices na hindi masira and at the same time, the practicality and yung pera is very cheaper while buying two devices at the same place, even a laptop na kaysa bumili ka ng 200,000 peso na smartphone.